This lesson is about review for Final 4. Find the exact values of the remaining 5 trig functions, and find the exact values of sine 2 alpha, cosine 2 alpha, tangent to alpha, sine pi plus alpha, cosine 3 pi over 2 minus alpha. Number 1. Cosine alpha equals negative 3 over 8. Cosecant alpha less than 0. First of all, we need to figure out which quadrant alpha located in. We use all students take calculus. For cosine alpha less than 0, means go to the second and third quadrant. For cosecant less than 0 means sine alpha less than 0. Sine alpha less than 0 means go to the third and fourth quadrant. Therefore, we know that alpha is in third quadrant. For third quadrant, we have negative y, negative x. So we got negative x, negative y. We need to label for this cosine alpha according to this formula. We have cosine alpha equals negative 3 over 8. That means x over r. X equals negative 3 and r equals 8. Then we look for y. Y is a negative, shows over here, that's negative. Therefore, we do negative square root. 8 square minus negative 3 square. You will get negative square root 64 minus 9. That is negative square root of 55. We need to figure out sine alpha equals y over r means negative square root of 55 over 8. We are given cosine alpha equals negative 3 over 8. For tangent alpha equals y over x. That is negative square root of 55 over negative 3 means square root of 55 over 3. Then we can working on the minor trig functions. The reciprocal of sine alpha, that is cosecant alpha equals, flip this number, that is negative 8 over square root of 55. Simplify, that is negative 8 square root of 55 over 55. Reciprocal of cosine alpha, that's secant alpha, that is negative 8 over 3. For cotangent alpha, that's reciprocal of tangent alpha, we got 3 over square root of 55. That means 3 square root of 55 over 55. Now we figure out the remaining 5 trig functions. We can working on sine 2 alpha. For sine 2 alpha equals, use this formula, we got 2 sine alpha times cosine alpha. For sine alpha, we got negative square root of 55 over 8 times negative 3 over 8. That is 6 square root of 55 over 64. We reduce. You will get 3 square root of 55 over 32. For cosine 2 alpha equals, using this formula, you can choose any of these 3, but normally the first one is easier. Let me write down the formula first. Cosine square alpha minus sine square alpha. So we got negative 3 over 8 squared minus negative square root of 55 over 8 squared. You will get 9 over 64 minus 55 over 64. So we got negative 46 over 64. Reduce, you will get negative 23 over 32. Therefore, for tangent 2 alpha equals sine 2 alpha over cosine 2 alpha. So we got 3 square root of 55 over 32 divided by negative 23 over 32. 32 is gone. So we got negative 3 square root of 55 over 23. This is the value for tangent to alpha. Now let's check sine pi plus alpha. We got to use sum and difference identities. This one. That is SC plus CS. So we got sine pi cosine alpha plus cosine pi sine alpha. What's the value for sine pi and cosine pi? Let's draw these coordinates for 0, pi over 2, pi, and 3 pi over 2. This will be 1, 0, 0, negative 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, undefined, 0, negative 1, undefined. For each is CST, which means for sine pi that is 0. Cosine pi means negative 1. 0 times cosine alpha, that's 0, is gone. So we got negative sine alpha. Value for sine alpha, that is negative square root of 55 over 8. Therefore, we got positive square root of 55 over 8. That's the value for sine pi plus alpha. For cosine, 3 pi over 2 minus alpha. Check here. You will get CCSS. This is plus. So we got cosine 3 pi over 2 cosine alpha plus sine 3 pi over 2 sine alpha. For cosine 3 pi over 2, go here. That is CST. So for cosine 3 pi over 2 means 0. Sine 3 pi over 2, that's negative 1. We got 0 minus sine alpha. That is negative sine alpha. still square root of 55 over 8. Let's go to number 2. Tangent alpha equals negative 1 over 6. That means less than 0. For secant alpha less than 0, that means cosine alpha less than 0. So we go to this quadrant. All students take calculus. Tangent less than 0 means go to SC, second and the fourth quadrant. For cosine less than 0 means ST. So for alpha, it's in second quadrant. In second quadrant, coordinates will be positive. Here's y, then negative x. So we write down negative x, positive y. Now we go to label for tangent alpha equals negative 1 over 6. We label as y over x. Since y is a positive, so we label as y equals a positive 1 and x equals negative 6. Because for negative 1 over 6, it's equals to 1 over negative 6. So you have to figure out x, y is positive or negative according to the quadrant. Therefore, we got the R equals x squared plus y squared means negative 6 squared plus 1 squared. That is square root of 37. Therefore, we got the sine alpha equals y over r means 1 over square root of 37. Simplify, that is square root of 37 over 37. For cosine alpha equals x over r means negative 6 over square root of 37. That is negative 6 square root of 37 over 37. Let's write down tangent alpha given that negative 1 over 6. Now we can figure out the minor trig functions. Reciprocal of sine alpha, that's a cosecant alpha equals, we flip this one, that is square root of 37. For secant alpha, we flip this one, that is a negative square root of 37 over 6. For tangent alpha, we got the cotangent alpha equals 6 over negative 1 means negative 6. This way we already figure out all remaining 5 trig functions. Now we're working on sine 2 alpha equals 2 sine alpha cosine alpha according to this formula. The value for sine alpha and cosine alpha, we plug in this one. That makes things much easier. We plug in 2 times 1 over square root of 37 times negative 6 over square root of 37. That is negative 12 over 37. For cosine 2 alpha, we're using cosine square alpha minus sine square alpha using this formula. So we got negative 6 over square root of 37 squared minus 12 over square root of 37 squared. That is negative 12 over 37. For cosine 2 alpha, we using cosine square alpha minus sine square alpha using this formula. So we got negative 6 over square root of 37 squared minus 12 over square root of 37 squared. 1 over square root of 37 squared. So we got 36 over 37 minus 1 over 37. So we got 35 over 37. For tangent to alpha, we use sine to alpha over cosine to alpha. You will get negative 12 over 37, 35 over 37. Then you reduce. You will get negative 12 over 35. Now we're working on sine pi plus alpha. Using this formula, that's SC plus CS. So we got sine pi cosine alpha plus cosine pi sine alpha. Sine pi, that is 0 according to here. You will get the 0 times cosine alpha plus cosine pi, that's negative 1. So we got negative sine alpha. This is gone, you will get negative sine alpha, which means negative square root of 37 over 37. For cosine 3 pi over 2 minus alpha, you will do CC plus SS. So we got cosine 3 pi over 2 cosine alpha plus sine 3 pi over 2 times sine alpha. Cosine 3 pi over 2, use this one. You will get 0 times cosine alpha plus negative 1 times sine alpha. So we got negative sine alpha, which means negative square root of 37 over 37.